For nearly 30 years, the locals stayed away from the Blackwood Estate. They were convinced that anyone who stepped into the study would die there, just like the owners before them. Previous police investigations always ended at the same dead end. No murder weapon was ever found, yet the study door was invariably found bolted from the inside. The mansion sat empty until a businessman purchased it with plans for a luxury hotel. 2 weeks later, his body was found in the study, the door locked tight, and no one else inside. Because every window was sealed and no secret passages existed, the townspeople saw only one possible explanation. They believed the house itself was doing the killing. Detective Guddu arrived at the estate while the public was still reeling from the news. Unlike the first responders, he didn't seem bothered by the history of the room. Guddu often says that houses aren't haunted. It's just that people find ghost stories useful for hiding their tracks. He stepped into the study to find the physical reality beneath the myth. He began by confirming the room's layout. The police had been forced to break the door down. The windows were painted shut, and the walls were solid. A single candle was burning on the desk, even though the room had electric lighting. Next to it sat a cup of tea, still warm to the touch. Muddy footprints led into the room from the hallway, but no tracks led back out. In the corner, the hands of a damaged grandfather clock were stuck at 9:17 p.m. Guddu studied these physical anomalies, knowing they were the only variables that could explain what happened in this sealed environment. Only 4 people were present at the estate that evening, and Guddu questioned each of them immediately. The caretaker claimed he was outside repairing the generator all night, while the victim's business partner said he had been sleeping upstairs since dinner. The maid explained she left the tea and walked away when no one answered her knock. The architect, however, noted that he finished his work and left the building just as the power flickered back on around 9:10 p.m. Guddu blew out the candle and leaned closer. The smoke carried a heavy chemical scent. It smelled like the generator fuel from the caretaker's workspace. He then crouched by the clock. A fine dusting of white drywall powder had settled on the floor directly beneath the pendulum. Guddu looked back at the suspects. He realized the traces of fuel and dust told a much more accurate story than the witnesses did. Now you have the same information as Guddu. Consider the footprints, the clock, and the testimony. Look at the timeline each person provided. Does one of these statements contradict the physical evidence in the room? In a locked room mystery, the answer usually lies in the exact sequence of events. The killer never escaped a locked room. The poison was added in the kitchen. The muddy footprints belonged to the victim, who walked in, locked the door, and drank the tea. He collapsed alone, leaving no tracks out. When the generator failed, the victim lit a utility candle, one that had been stored near the fuel, to keep working through the blackout. As the poison took effect, the victim fell against the wall. The impact knocked the grandfather clock's fragile gears out of alignment at 9:17 p.m., shaking loose the drywall out Guddu found on the floor. The locked realm wasn't a supernatural puzzle. It was a natural result of the victim locking himself in after being poisoned from afar. Guddu had one final question for the group. What time did the lights come back on? The caretaker's log and the maid's statement both confirmed the power was restored at 9:20 p.m., but the architect had already claimed the power was back 10 minutes earlier, at 9:10. It was a slip-up only the killer would make. He had been waiting in the dark for the victim to die, and in his anxiety, he lost track of the time and fabricated a false alibi. The architect was facing financial ruin after being removed from the hotel project. He used the legend of the curse to cover the fact that he had poisoned his partner's tea in the kitchen. As the architect was led away, the mystery of the Blackwood Estate finally ended. In this house, the only thing truly dangerous was a simple man with a motive and a vial of poison.